I want to head over to Yahoo Finance's Jared Blikre with a look at what's trending in the markets today. And Jared, let's just talk about steel because we have at least seen some movement on the news of that infrastructure bill package.
That's right. If we're waiting for Biden, might as well check out a couple of steel companies at record highs. And the first, and we're looking at our Wi-Fi interactive heat map here for infrastructure, lots of green and dark green. First, Nucor Steel Corporation, that is up 9% today. And you can see it's more than doubled, up 121% year to date. It has broken through this consolidation that it has been going through for the last few months as the infrastructure bill was in flux here and is breaking to the upside. Still have to wait to see what happens on the House. But this is a pretty nice development here for some of these stocks. Steel Dynamics, very similar story, breaking to record highs after consolidating since May here. And then it's not just the steel stocks, also Caterpillar. That's the big one on your left. That's up 2.5%, up about 18% year to date. Also taking a look at Freeport-McMoran, a mining company. That company's up 4.8% today, nearly 50% year to date. And the big question is, do we get some follow through here? And I'll tell you what, I was looking at that payrolls beat that we got last Friday. That's when we got this spike low here, and it's been up. Actually, I think that was the ADP low. And then we got some movement last Friday, and then again Monday, and again today. The bottom line is we're up about 22 basis points off of these lows. And so to me, the bond market is signaling that, yes, this move into the cyclical stocks, into the value stocks like financials, et cetera, this does have legs. One other point here, Bitcoin. Bitcoin also affected by this bill because there's a piece in it that could make for some onerous reporting requirements for tax purposes. And that was hotly contested. There was an amendment introduced into the Senate, did not pass. But we'll have to see what happens again with the House guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, right now, I'm just looking on a sector basis. Financials, industrials, materials, and energy right now are leading. So that should come as no surprise. Jared, let's talk about the return to the office. We're seeing a lot of companies delaying when their employees are going to be coming back in. And this time it's actually coming from some of those big finance companies, which is interesting because they were the ones really clamoring to get their workers back in as soon as possible.
Right, but you have to be safe here. So let's take a look at American Express. That stock is down about 0.5% today, and they have an update. They're going to delay their employees' return to office until at least October 11th. So I believe they were going to go in September, along with most of the other big banks. Here's a quote from the chief executive officer here. We've been watching with increasing concern the resurgence of COVID-19 cases across the U.S. and due to the rapid spread of the Delta variant, we are now at the point where the data indicates that the most prudent course of action is to delay the full reopening of our U.S. offices. And just taking a look at the one-year chart here, we can see how they've really taken off since Election Day. That was kind of the impetus for the value and cyclical trade that we're talking about here. Also, Citigroup, we're going to change over to our banking heat map where we have a lot of green. Citigroup up 2% today, not quite at its highs here of the year, but they are going to require vaccines for employees returning to offices. No update. Or at least no update if that's going to be September 13th. That's a currently slated date, or if it's going to be extended. But mask wearing is required for all Citibank offices and branch workers, regardless of whether they've gotten the shots. But that vaccine requirement doesn't apply to branch workers. Also in finance, we know that Morgan Stanley and Jefferies have also introduced similar vaccination requirements for at least some of their offices.
And speaking of coronavirus, Jared, let's just talk about the next trending ticker, which is Pfizer exceeding their intraday record high that stood for 2 decades, or more than 2 decades, I should say. Tell us more about that.
That's right. You'd have to go back to 1999. Pretty much the height of the tech bubble. Technically, it was early 2000. It wasn't just tech stocks back then. So let's go back to the Wi-Fi Interactive. We can see Pfizer is up 4% today. Doesn't seem like a lot. That is a lot for this stock. And you can see it's really taken off, as many other vaccine stocks have over the last few weeks. We talk about Moderna, Vaxart, Novavax, some of those other ones, BioNTech. And Pfizer being a $250 billion company, maybe we don't talk about it as much because it doesn't move as much. But you can see now finally exceeding those highs from the late 90s, that tech bubble, which maybe was also a biotech bubble as well. But nice to see Pfizer getting some momentum from that trade.